Good morning, gardening friends. Southern California budget gardener here, and this week I figured, since there's not a lot going on in the garden except just trying to keep the plants alive, I'd give you a little bit of an idea what it's like here in Southern California. I live, let's say, a few miles east of Los Angeles proper, and right now it's just below 60 degrees, call it 58 or so. It's about 10:30 in the morning, and this is my patio garden. I actually managed this apartment building for the last couple of years. I cannot take credit for all of the landscaping around here. The owner of the building has provided us with a pretty nice bit of landscaping. Now, if you look around in Southern California, you'll probably find mostly drought-tolerant plants because oftentimes we're on some water restrictions. Not all of the time, but being Southern California, being sort of a former desert, we don't have a whole lot of rainfall. Around this time of year it does start to get a bit colder. We do have to watch for sometimes frost, especially if there's citrus crops, which there are still some areas with citrus in the Los Angeles area. So we do have to kind of watch out for really cold weather killing off plants, but it's not as cold consistently as it is in the Midwest and on the East Coast where I've lived in the past. But that's probably enough of an introduction for now. Let me kind of show you around, give you an idea kind of what I do. I do call myself the Southern California budget gardener, mainly because I'm cheap, but also because I like to do some experiments and I try to keep the costs down for my own gardening. Let's take a look around. On my own patio, I have basically replaced the conventional clay or ceramic or even metal pots with actual wood boxes built mostly out of cedar, but let me actually show you what's not. Down on this end of my patio, I've got a number of boxes that I started with, grabbing the cheapest fence boards that I could find at the local home center, and they're made out of, I think it's whitewood. I'm not even really sure what whitewood is. I am not a wood expert, but they were stained, and after building the first few, I realized if I wanted to grow anything food related, just trying to generate my own vegetables to enjoy, that I didn't really know what that stain was made of, and I decided that it wasn't worth actually taking the chance of planting any kind of food-bearing plant in these boxes. So that's why most of what you see here has flowers in them, and they're built a little roughly because I refined my technique over time. If I swing around a little bit, and hopefully the sun's not too bad on this, the next set of boxes that you see, which actually swing pretty much along this side of the patio, are all made out of cedar. Now I basically use fence boards because they're reasonably cheap and I can build one box per fence board. So for literally a few dollars between the wood and the nails or screws, or I finally got into doing glue at one point, between those I can build a box. And it turns out, if you think about it, a box is a more efficient container because a round pot has a lot of sort of empty space around it. When you try and put a bunch of pots next to each other, you're losing potential space for soil for your plants to grow in. That's why I really like this model of using these boxes. It's kind of a miniature version of doing an above ground raised garden bed, but in a smaller form, so I can put individual plants in them. So that's what I've got here on the patio. These were kind of some of the initial ones that I built, but let me show you what else. What you see before you is an earlier attempt at building a raised garden bed, but I wanted to put it on the patio, and I knew that if I put it at the bottom of the patio, down on the floor of the patio, it wouldn't get much for sun. So I actually built it with legs that raised it up. It is built so that it is independent of the wall on which, let me see if I can show you the wall here. I hope you can kind of see there is a wall around the patio. I did not want to hang it on the wall because if it ever shifted or moved, or if we had an earthquake or something like that, the last thing I want to do is destroy the wall. I don't own this building. I don't have the right to attach something that could potentially do destruction. And if I did do destruction, I would be responsible for repairing the wall. Being that I manage the building, I have some idea what it might cost to repair the wall, because unfortunately we've had a wall fall in the past. Anyway, getting back to the planter itself, let me kind of move up there so you can see. I had this originally designed to have 8 sections, each about 1 foot square. It's now down to 4 sections, which are 1 foot by 2 foot, because over time I realized that the 1 foot square, especially in a larger planting, just isn't quite enough. So this is what I have, and let me try and get you up a little higher so you can see more of what I've got. Without going into all the details of everything that's in this planter, you can see some of my other videos and see what I've planted. There's also some time lapses kind of following these plants growing, but it's mostly drought tolerant or winter type, not drought tolerant, winter type vegetables. I've got squash, and I've got some radish and some carrots. I'm not sure about the radish and carrots. I've also got some herbs in there which are going to take a long time to germinate, so I'm kind of hoping by spring they will start to spring forward, if you will. So that's what I've got up in here. And after the big planter and building that, I decided it made sense to make a smaller planter, this time not really even hanging over the wall, but built up to the level of the wall, so hopefully you can see that in here. And what's in there right now is a tomato plant which I bought late season. It's not doing all that great. There are some tomatoes on there, but I think the cold is starting to stunt the growth, so we'll see if anything develops from it. I just didn't want to throw away the plant only a few weeks after buying it, so I planted it here in this smaller, I'm calling it the medium size planter. And if you look at this one, if I pan down, you can see it also has legs. It is covered up a little bit more than absolutely needed, more for visual effect. The actual soil probably comes down to about here, but that's a pretty good size planter if you think about it. A lot of soil in there. I think I figured it's maybe, you know what, I have to go back and look it up myself. And it's probably more than a 10-gallon container, certainly. Moving on, if it's coming out okay here in video, this is one of our little vistas inside the complex. We have a table on the left, and we have what used to be the swimming pool on the right. Years ago the swimming pool was filled in, and years later the landscape company came along and put a few trees. So we've got a nice little setup here, and at night we've got some lights that light up the trees. And here we have another vista of the view from the south courtyard up towards the north courtyard. You can see we do actually have some trees that change color here in the landscape. Those are ginkgo trees. But the rest of the landscape tends to be mostly nandina or heavenly bamboo and other evergreen pine type trees. You can still see one of them in the pool there, the one that was in the front of that picture. And that's pretty much it. I mean, this is kind of a typical winter day in Southern California. Some trees may change color. We don't get a lot of reds around here unless you've got a maple tree or something like that. You can see the sky with some clouds in it, because around this time of year we don't get much snow, at least not in lower elevations. There are mountains here in Southern California, and those mountains are doing really nicely right now. They're getting fresh packed snow, especially when the rainstorms come through here. They'll drop a bunch of snow up in the mountains. So that kind of gives you an idea of what it's like in Southern California, and hopefully a little bit of an idea what it's like trying to have your own little garden here. Good morning, gardening friends. It's now Friday the 13th, December 13th, 2013. I have a confession to make. I've had some video in the can and prepared, and all it needed was just a bit of assembly and then upload, and I haven't gotten to it. So I figured it was about time to throw in another update. So even though it'll sound like the episode was over, here I am again. Just wanted to kind of give you an update about what the cold has done around here. It's affected some of the plants mostly on the patio, so we'll just kind of stick to that. I'll give you a quick look. This is not actually a cold issue, but I wanted to show you that this tomato plant here was a lot of the leaves were dying off, so I just trimmed it back, and so you can kind of see some tomatoes sticking out prominently. They've been that big for a couple of weeks and haven't changed color. They may not turn into anything that I can actually eat. So, but that's this plant. The petunias are affected mainly just in the morning. They look wilty like this. If we get a decent amount of sun during the day, they perk up, especially when the sun makes its way onto the patio. Right now, like I said, it's a little after 9, so the sun hasn't made it over here yet. Here's the real issue, though. If you look at the spinach on the right there, you can see it's pretty much gone away. It looks like it just got soggy. It's not getting that much water. We haven't had that much rain, and I'm not overwatering it. It's just the cold is killing it. So the basil it kind of comes and goes. Sometimes it looks like it's just about dead, and then it kind of bounces back. And then if you look over on the left, you'll see the Swiss chard. That really just hasn't done much all year. I haven't been picking it. I don't know. Oh, and then there's the broccoli to the right of that, which doesn't look very good. So I may end up pulling some of these plants in the next couple of days. We'll see. Until next time. Good evening, gardening friends. It's now December 26th, the day after Christmas, at about 3:45, and the sun is on its way down. So I have to kind of take a slightly different angle at this. But I just wanted to take a moment to wrap up this video and apologize for the multiple endings. I've been extremely busy working on some things. Among them was a video I did for my parents. They had their 50th wedding anniversary this year, and I wanted to get it done. I shot a lot of video, and I wanted to process it all and make something nice for them, which I gave them yesterday at Christmas, and they very much appreciated it. And if you want to see it, it's actually on this channel, posted probably right before this video. That's assuming I can get all my video that I've shot for the gardening stuff, if I can get that all processed tonight and posted. So, assuming nothing else gets in my way, I'll post this video, and this should be the final ending for this video, and probably the last video for this year. I'll be back next year. I've got a couple of things I'm looking at. I might even shoot a little bit of video before the end of the year, but the next post will be for season 4 next year. So, signing off for the year. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate, and I hope you have a wonderful New Year.